There are few who dare to ride aboard the fire-breathing chariot, but those who seek the time between blinks will not be denied no matter the circumstances. Welcome to the Bluegrass State here at Paducah International Raceway for the continuation of the 2022 Open Cut Tire MRA Championship. And tonight, running at a little bit of a different facility. Normally we run 200-foot tracks. Tonight, only 125 feet. And the reason is this concrete wall that runs the perimeter of this facility. The only time this season we'll be seeing these machines on the infield of a circle track. As we look at some footage of the track party that took place a little bit earlier, the kids loved getting up close and personal and even climbing aboard some of the monster machines, these massive power rails that we'll be seeing in competition coming up in just a few moments. Taking a look at the points coming into today's action. Leading the charge is last year's national champion Billy Fling, followed by Joel Coolidge, who's coming right up on his heels, and then Kevin Harrison, who led the charge early in the year but has fallen off due to mechanical issues and near disaster in Gore Springs, Mississippi. Then it's David Hahn, who's not here this weekend, and Steve Renaud, who also did not make this event. He is in danger of being passed and knocked out of that number 5 spot, but he may be able to maintain it with Hahn not being in the field. Now, the guy we talked about having those problems here in mid-season, this is Kevin Harrison. I guess it's late season now. And Never Enough out of Grenada, Mississippi goes side by side with Barney Hall, who we don't get to see enough of, out of Owensboro, Kentucky, in high-strung, a 540 cubic inch screw-blown machine with an SCS slipper clutch transmission, and that vehicle was built by DRC, which is a sprint car chassis builder out of Indianapolis, so he should be right at home here on this circle track. Let's see how he does against that big Aussie horsepower Never Enough out of Mississippi. Clearly problems for Barney Hall. He comes to us, well, he does go across the finish line to the 318, but look at that. Harrison just outran the 125-foot national record. That 173 will now put him in the running to knock off the time originally posted by the late, great Dan Richter. And we know Dan, who we lost very recently, would love to be here competing, but you know he's watching from above, seeing these guys through this event, trying to make sure they don't get into that wall there at the far end of the track. And you can see a crew member there for Barney Hall actually holding a chain drive. It looks like he blew a transmission on that run, so he will probably not be back. Unfortunately, the home state hero will likely not make it back for Session 2. Now, a vehicle fans of this sport are probably very familiar with. This is Mike Lane's old car, now called Simply Wicked, out of Birch River, West Virginia. This is Mark Shaver at the wheel. 572 aluminum Keith Black Hemi with a 1471 SSI blower up on top, and he is belching flames right now. He may be having a timing issue. As he comes to the line to stage, you can hear it belching there. That should not be happening. Looks neat, but that is going to definitely hurt the performance. Shaver, a 194. Not what he was looking for. We're going to try to get that thing retuned and bring it back for Session 2. But again, with the flames shooting out of the pipes, he is definitely having an engine performance issue right now. As we watch it again, track's definitely holding horsepower here tonight. I don't have to worry about that. Again, the big thing is getting those cars stopped with that short shutdown. Here's a look after the first 3 runs. Kevin Harrison clearly leading the field at a 173, better than the national record. Then it's Mark Shaver and the unfortunate Barney Hall. Every time we have our cameras on that car, something happens to it. The last time we saw him, he had a blower pulley disintegrate. So hopefully we're not bad luck for that team, as they are definitely competitive in the sport. Stay with us. More open class racing on the way when we come back to Paducah.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by Monsters Monthly. For up-to-date info, media, and all your other monster truck needs, visit monstersmonthly.com. And by Crush This. For a look inside the world of monster trucks, check out Crush This, a Monster Truck podcast. This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by RPM Army. For a wide array of content from across the motorsports world, visit rpmarmy.com. Your high-performance fix on the go.
Welcome back to what has already been a record-breaking weekend under the lights here in Paducah, Kentucky. We're only 2 passes in to our Cut Tire Open class here this weekend, and already the record has been broken. Will it be reset? We'll find out. There you see Greg Monsmith, who's had a rough 2022 and had a really rough last weekend in Gore Springs, Mississippi, going side by side with another guy who did not have the run he was hoping for in Gore Springs. That is the father of the father-son Coolidge team out of Two Harbors, Minnesota in Nightmare 6. As we take a look back at the run he made in Gore Springs, keep your eye on the car in the near lane. Coolidge on and off the throttle, trying to keep the car out of the guardrail, but that was the least of Monsmith's concern. Also in the near lane, he shells a transmission, while Kevin Harrison goes on to break the track record. Monsmith has this vehicle back together. Let's hope both of these guys can turn the season around here in Paducah as they line up together. Monsmith with problems. They're not mechanical this time. The vehicle pulled to the middle hard. He had to drive it around for a 2-2. Look at that, though. Coolidge with a 1.734 and by 4/10,000ths of a second. Coolidge betters the mark that Kevin Harrison set at the top of the event. Beautiful pass there, driving it all the way out the end. Look at him getting airborne coming into the shutdown area. He actually exited the nice soft dugout play. Now keep your eyes on the car on the right side of your screen here. That's Monsmith. Thing made a hard move to the center. Heads up driving on both those guys to keep those things upright as Coolidge used up all that shutdown area out there. Probably to his benefit, though, that they're running diagonally here to the front stretch wall to try to give them a little more room, and Coolidge took advantage of that in full now as a guy we haven't seen in a long time, Scott Snarsky, gets ready to line up Paperboy Express, goes side by side with the 2021 Open Class champ Billy Fling out of Sunbury, Ohio. 2 very powerful machines in the sport. Fling running that 581 cubic inch Hemi inside of that Brasket Race Cars built chassis, going side by side with a legend in the class, Scott Snarsky. .1734. Oh, look at that, a 1.681, and Snarsky even outran the record. This is a very fast class on a very fast track and not a lot of room to shut these cars down. I'm going to keep saying it. The fact that these guys are running all the way up that finish line is pretty incredible. It may look like quite a distance, but when you understand how hard it is to get one of these cars shut down in a short distance, it is incredible. Those were both great rides. I think Snarsky may have had to fight it a little bit as it started to come to the middle, and yeah, you can see the rear end stepping out on him just a bit there in the shutdown area, but heads up driving again to keep these cars in bounds. Now, guy coming off a paddle tire victory down in Sanford, North Carolina earlier this year, but he has had a bit of a rough season got sprayed in the face with fuel when an alcohol line came off in Gore Springs. That was the last time we saw him. Not the last time we were in Gore Springs, but about 3 races ago. That being Dale Ellenberger out of West Virginia, going side by side with the hometown hero John Grosvenor in Heart Attack out of Samsonia, Kentucky. Beautiful machine with the enclosed cockpit. See what he can do. Haven't really had a chance to see him run so far this year, but this is a very, very fast machine taking on Touch of Madness and Dale Ellenberger. Problems for Grosvenor. He lost a blower belt, and Ellenberger, that's incredible. He's still faster than the standing national record that Dan Richter posted years ago. Not fast enough to outrun Billy Fling. Billy Fling chasing that 182, and you did it, but now you got to back it up.
Yep, I do in the other lane. We'll see if it's got enough hook like that one did. So
the wall comes up quick down there.
It did. A lot quicker than I thought. Yep.
It looked like a good run between the two of you guys, and that's the first time you guys have gotten together in a long time. But the guys behind you did beat the record, but you're the only one right now who can technically back it up straight off your first run. They'd have to actually beat you to back up that record.
They would, and all of them got the potential to do it. So you don't know what's going to happen until it's over.
Good class here tonight.
Very good class. Fast trucks.
How's the track so far?
Good. It's holding up well, too. So
short track tonight, but Billy Fling is in the hunt for a national record. We'll see if he can back it up. Well, Billy is not the only one in the hunt. Look at this. In the top 5, there is not one vehicle slower than the standing national record. Again, posted by the late, great Dan Richter. Billy Fling running an incredible 168. He's going to change lanes, and that means some of the guys who were slower in that first session are going to go over to that lane. We'll see if there's a lane difference. If they speed up, they're going to be flying down through there. I'm not sure what the speeds are. We'll find out hopefully before the end of the night, but you can see what can you say about this class so far. Fling, Coolidge, Harrison, Ellenberger, and Snarsky, and that's just the top 5. The whole field is filled with incredible machines here tonight. And you know it's a good night when the guys competing are even enjoying watching the other racers go down the track. Hey, we're not done yet. Session 2 is coming up when we come back to Paducah International Raceway. Conditions are just about perfect tonight under the lights for these big blower motors, as we have a lot of happy campers here in the open class after session 1, and the times are showing that the track is holding the horsepower that these cars are putting in it, and they're making a lot of it here tonight. Billy Fling leading the charge at a 1.681, then Joel Coolidge and Kevin Harrison with a pair of 1.734s, Dale Ellenberger at a 1.764, and Scott Snarsky rounding out the top 5 at a 1.768. Not one car in that group, as I said before we went to break, that did not better the standing national record of Dan Richter. Here comes Dale Ellenberger now, continuing the namesake A Touch of Madness that started back with Gary Reddick. Campaigning that car well out of Leon, West Virginia, going up against the man here at his home track from right down the road in Samsonia, Kentucky. That is John Grosvenor in Heart Attack. Had problems with a blower belt in session 1. Let's see what he can do here in session 2. Ellenberger having having to do some driving there at the end. He was up on 3 wheels, still runs a 1.71 with an 8. Imperfect run, and he's still fast with the standing national record. Here you see Grosvenor again loses a blower belt on the starting line, leaving him hanging up there, and you can see the disappointment in the body language of his crew. Watch Ellenberger, though. Talk about driving out a disaster. It happened quick, but that could have been a serious incident there on the end of that track. Heads up driving. One more time. Bringing the car around. Nice job to keep it on all 4 wheels. Keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down. Here comes the points leader and the man on top of the field here tonight, Billy Fling out of Sunbury, Ohio, in the Brasket Race Cars Built Reality Check with a 581 cubic inch engine. Going side by side with Scott Snarsky out of Libertyville, Illinois, with a big 540 cubic inch Boss Ford 1-speed transmission with a 3-disc slipper clutch. You see his teammate and co-driver Paul Wessinger there on the starting line with him. Paul putting a little de-icer on the butterflies. If you've ever wondered why, we had a chance to take a look earlier. Often when the open class machines come into stage, you'll see a crew member walk up and spray the front of the injector hat. If you ask the racers and crews what and why, you'll likely get one of 2 similar answers, both stemming from the same problem. The open class is a commonly forced induction class, meaning most of these vehicles run a blower motor. As cold methanol alcohol is introduced into the injector and the blower sucks air through the butterflies, the atmosphere created at the top of this componentry can become so cold, frost or even ice can actually form on the moving parts, specifically the butterflies or throttle blades and shaft. This can interfere with the mechanical function of the intake and cause one of 2 problems. Either the butterflies may fail to open properly and result in a decline in engine performance, or, worst yet, they may become hung in an open or partially open position and render the machine harder to shut down. One may cost you a win, the other may cost you your ride. In any case, a quick spray of some form of a de-icer on the butterflies all but eliminates this nuanced bit of danger right on the starting line. On the line with 2 of the best in the class. Billy Fling in the near lane, your points leader and your 2021 national champion, going side by side with the legend, Scott Snarsky. This is going to be a rocket ride out of both lanes when they light this tree. Can't get much more perfect than that. A 1.66 Fling betters his time, but look at that. Snarsky runs a 1.650. Snarsky will move into the number 1 spot with Paperboy. The records are falling, and they are falling fast. What a pair of runs side by side. That was a beautiful race. Snarsky using every bit of track he had to shut that thing down, and he needed it. So was Fling. They're both going for a ride there in the shutdown. It may not look violent, but they're getting bucked around in those cars down there. That was about as perfect a run for a 125-foot track as you could ask for. And Scott Snarsky is now leading the charge with a very impressive 1.65. And that was to a 1.66, so neither of those were bad runs. That might have been the lane difference right there, and that means these lanes are pretty darn close. As Greg Monsmith comes out, the Hoosier taking on the man from Minnesota, Joel Coolidge. Trucker by trade, guy who spends enough time behind the wheel to last a lifetime, as he gets behind the wheel of a little bit different horsepower than his tractor this weekend. Both of these guys trying to turn their season around right now, although Coolidge has not had as bad a season as Monsmith. Monsmith looking not only to finish a weekend, but hopefully get himself in the winner's circle before the end of the night here in the Cut Tire division. As you see, Coolidge purged the 2-step there. Let's see. Can they better Scott Snarsky? Going after a 1.65. Coolidge a 1.72. Monsmith, look at that, a 1.654 for Greg Monsmith. So he was right there on Scott Snarsky's heels. A 1.650 was the time he needed to beat. And again, working the track hard to try to get there. A few sparks out of the back end, a nightmare. And look at him just ride up onto the bank As we continue on with session 2, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we wrap up the open class. Do not go anywhere. The fastest may be yet to come.
Hey, welcome to Wild Man Adventures. We're at the Silver Lake Sand Dragway. There really wasn't any off-roading back then. It was all off-road. We're on our way to Lima, Ohio. Got wooden wheels.
Oh, it's slippery as all get out of.
Hey, we're here with Rich Cummins. Hey, we're here with Mike Potter.
Hey, we're here with Alan Pizzo.
Gotta check it out. This week we're gonna go down memory lane.
Back in Paducah, Kentucky, as Mark Shaver comes into stage, one of 2 competitors left in the field tonight. Simply Wicked, formerly of Mike Lane, ran as Wicked Sensation, champion in its own right. Very powerful machine in the mud racing ranks, now under the ownership of Mark Shaver with a 572 all-aluminum Keith Black Hemi. Let's see what he can do. Remember, he's been having engine problems here tonight. You see it's still belching flames. He does not want that. Still doesn't have it quite ironed out, but he was consistent at least. He was able to get some power to the ground, a 195 with a 1, and that's slowed down a bit from the 194 with a 5 that he posted in session 1, but still, nothing to be ashamed of there. It could have been worse. Still going to get himself into money here tonight. Mark Shaver making 2 successful passes, and now a guy who has been knocking down records all along this season, and he's doing it now with a damaged race car. This is Kevin Harrison in Never Enough out of Grenada, Mississippi, who hit the rail in Gore Springs and bent his vehicle in the middle. Can he knock down that 165 of Scott Snarsky? Beautiful run for Harrison. Waiting on the time. 165 was the time to beat. A 163 with a 6. Kevin Harrison absolutely flying here in Paducah, Kentucky. Doesn't have the record just yet, though. Remember, whoever won the class was going to have to come back and back up the run. That's how far away from the standing record these guys got. Putting all that horsepower to the ground. That was genuinely a beautiful run for Kevin Harrison. This has been an awesome class here tonight and an awesome track. Holding the horsepower, again, it's a combination of the air density, these vehicles being tuned correctly for the air density, and the track being groomed properly to allow these machines to put this much horsepower into the clay. There you see Kevin Harrison on top of the field. By the way, look at the top 4 of the top 5, all down in the 1.6s, and you can see they just kept falling in order. Billy Fling and Scott Snarsky ran together. That's a 1.66 and a 1.650. Greg Monsmith in third with a 1.654. That's a guy who's had a terrible season. He's got to be happy to be sitting in third in this field. Kevin Harrison at the top. Dale Ellenberger down in the number 5 spot. So, get ready to come back to the line here in just a moment as the crew takes a look over Kevin Harrison's machine. Make sure he's all good, nice, and tight for this backup pass. Make sure that all the safety gear is in place as we take one more look at the record-breaking run that he made here. Remember, he made a record-breaking pass at the top of session 1 and then comes back and betters the entire field on the bottom end of session 2. So this has been a good weekend so far for this team out of Mississippi, traveling up here to Kentucky to show off. They've been doing good on 200-foot tracks. They're doing great here at 125 feet. He stages up. Can he back up the 163? That looks like a good run, man. You can feel that in your chest when he took off. Let's see if he did it. He did do it. You can hear it from the track announcer. Record pass 1:63.61 and a 1:63.63, almost identical ETs. Talk about backing up a pass. He backed it up within 3 10,000ths, or within 2 10,000ths, I should say. That was a quick pair of runs for Kevin Harrison. Kevin, I guess the lucky trick was that bent chassis.
Evidently, we've had a good race. It a little slow the first pass, but we turned a little more power to it, and the track took it, and we set a record and backed it up with an almost identical time. So that was great.
And, the last guy to set the record in the 125 is that guy right there.
Yes,
He'd be
sir.
very proud.
Yes, sir. I hope he's up there looking down on us now. I know he is, and he's excited too.
It was good to catch up with you. Congratulations.
Yes,
Let's go back and celebrate. Well, as we wrap things up here tonight in Paducah, we're not done from here in Paducah. We got a whole nother night of action ahead with the Pro Stocks, the Super Stocks, the Modifieds, and the Open Class will be back on the paddle tires. Here's a look at the Open Cut season points. Billy Fling leading the charge still. Joel Coolidge, Kevin Harrison, David Hahn, and Greg Monsmith now moving up into the top 5, trying to turn his season around. And I guarantee you the Hoosier has got to feel good after this night of action. He's got one more to make it through, and then it's on to Missouri for the finals. And keep in mind, Billy Fling may still not be out of the woods here, because your worst 2 weekends get thrown out. That means you lose a little mathematically. If you don't have any zeros to throw out, that can hurt you as well. So Kevin Harrison's attendance may play right into his hand. What a night of record-breaking, record-resetting action we have had, and we're not done. The track that's holding all the horsepower still has some more in it. We will see you next time.